Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share something with you that I believe is bigger than a personal testimony. I believe God used what happened in my life recently prophetically to signal something, to confirm something about the season that we are all entering right now. And I want to take my time with this because the details matters, the process matter, and I believe that somewhere in this story God is going to speak directly to where you are. So stay with me, get comfortable, and let's go. Welcome to Notes from the Table. I'm Ilonka Middelberg and I invite you to pull up a chair, take a deep breath, and tune into what heaven might be saying about your season. I share iconic insight and strategic perspective as a life and assignment coach because your assignment matters. Whether you're influencing the family mountain, building a business, or writing the book that just won't leave you alone, I unpack timely revelations to help you discern the times, stay aligned with your assignment, and keep moving forward. So, first, let me tell you who I am because this is important context for everything that follows. So, I am a life and assignment coach, right? I'm self employed, called by God, and for the past 3 years, specifically the last 3 years, He has been leading me deeper into that calling and specifically to serve faith based women in the marketplace, women who are building their God given assignment from the ground up, women who carry something real, something significant, something prophetic, but who need help, right? They need help translating that into tangible, purposeful, kingdom aligned action in the marketplace. And that is my lane. That is what God called me to do. And I've been in it. And I'm in learning, growing, building, pressing in, not just hearing the word, but becoming a doer of what He spoke over my life. And I want to be honest with you, it has not always been easy. You know, the journey of building your assignment from scratch, of staying consistent, of trusting the process, even when the timeline feels longer than you expected, that is real. That is the journey. And I have been on it. But then something happened, something sudden, something unexpected, and it changed literally everything. So here is what happened. A director of a company approached me. And that right there, that is already God. That is already the God of the suddenlies moving in a way that I did not orchestrate, did not plan, and did not see coming. Because when God wants to do something in your life, He does not always come through the doors that you are expecting, especially when He wants to do His will in your life, right? Sometimes He comes through a door you did not even know existed. So when this director approached me about a job opportunity, I thought, okay, let me be open. Let me go into this conversation and let me see what God is doing. So we had a short phone call first, and there was a connection, honestly, on both sides, a genuine click. And based on that, we scheduled an interview. So I went, I sat in that room and I listened carefully. I paid attention, not just to what was being said, but to what I was sensing. The conversation was good, the director was open, everything on the surface looked positive. But something was happening on the inside of me. So on the drive home and in the hours that followed, I started to think, to process, I started to reflect. And with every hour that passed, something became clearer. And that was, this is not it, not in the way they are presented it. This is not me. Now, I want to be careful here because this was not about the director. And this was absolutely not about the company, but this was about discernment. This was about knowing what God has called me to and being able to recognize when something, even something that looks good, does not fully align with that call. So God has called me to be a business owner, a self employed life and assignment coach, right? And that is not just what I do, that is part of who I am called to be. And so the idea of stepping into a traditional job role just for the sake of a job, that was not what God was doing. I knew it, I sensed it deeply. But here is the thing, I did not dismiss the situation. Very important because I also knew that God had allowed this encounter for a reason. There was something in it. I just not had found it yet. So I kept reflecting. I kept connecting with the Lord. And that is when he showed me something. He showed me it is not about the job. It is about what you carry. And that is what God said to me in that place of reflection. It is not about fitting into the role they described. It's about bringing what I carry into that environment as a solution, as an assignment carrier, not as a candidate. And suddenly everything shifted because I stopped looking at the situation through the lens of, is this the right job for me? And I started looking at it through the lens of, what does this environment actually need? And do I carry the solution? And the answer was yes. As sons and daughters of God, we are problem solvers. We are solution carriers. So we do not show up to fit into spaces, but we show up to bring what heaven has placed in us into the spaces where it is needed. And that is what God was showing me. He was not calling me to a job. He was calling me to apply my assignment in a new environment, in an unexpected environment with an unexpected person in an unexpected field. So I did something that stretched me. I wrote an email to the director. And in that email, I did not respond like a candidate. I responded like someone who carries a solution. And I said, this is what you are asking for, but this is what your business actually needs. And this is how I can help you build that. So I want you to understand what that required, because it was not a small thing. It required boldness. It required stepping out of the safe, expected response and bringing the full weight of what I carry into a space that had not asked for it in those terms, right? So it stretched me. It was uncomfortable. There was a moment where I thought, is this too much? Am I overstepping? But I trusted God and I sent it. I sent the email. So what happened? The director received the email. He read the email. He did not push back. He did not dismiss it. He invited me back for another conversation. And in that conversation, he agreed with the direction and he gave me full space. And now, instead of a job, I have been given an assignment. And the assignment is to build an entire HR department from scratch, not to fill a role, to build something from the ground up. And I want you to hear the significance of that, because building from the ground up, that is exactly what I do with faith-based women. That is the core of my work as a life and assignment coach, right? I help women build their God-given assignment from scratch. I help them to see what God is seeing. And I help them lay foundations. I help them structure and develop and grow what God has placed in them. And now God took that same gift, that same assignment, and placed it in a completely different environment with a completely different person in a completely different field. Same gift, new territory. And this is where I want to speak very directly, because this is the part that I believe carries the word for this season. You know, it would have been easy to say no, not because the opportunity was bad, but because it was so different from what I expected. This is the director. This director is not a faith-based woman. He is a not faith-based man. He is not from my target audience. He is not from the world I have been building in. The environment is different. The field is different. Everything about it looks outside of my lane. And that is exactly how the enemy would have used it to make me miss it. By making it look like it did not belong to my calling. But here is what God showed me. Your calling is not limited to your expected audience. Your gift is not confined to the environment you have been building in. So when God gives you an assignment, He reserves the right to deploy it wherever He chooses. And your obedience is what determines whether the full reach of that assignment gets expressed or stays small. Listen to that. God is expanding my territory, our territory, not replacing my calling, but expanding it. He's taking what He built in me through these 3 years of preparation and showing me that it reaches further than I knew. He's making me more skillful, more confident, more aware of the full weight of what I carry. And I believe with everything in me, and that is Jesus Christ, that He is doing the same for you. So here comes the word for this season. A new season has started. And I do not say that lightly. This testimony is not just my story, it is a confirmation. It is a marker that something has shifted for those who have been in preparation, for those who have been pressing in, for those who have been building faithfully in what sometimes felt like obscurity. The season of preparation is giving way to the season of activation, and those are not the same thing. Preparation asks you to receive, to develop, to become. And activation asks you to move, to step into rooms you did not plan for, to bring what you carry into environments that need it, even when those environments look nothing like what you expected. And I want to speak to 2 women right now. If you are standing at the threshold, hesitating, waiting, wondering if you are truly ready, hear this. You were not created to fit into spaces. You were created to bring solutions to them. The boldness this season requires is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to respond from what you carry, regardless of how unfamiliar the environment looks for you. And if you are already moving, woman number 2, if you're already in your assignment, but you sense that you are not yet operating at the full weight of what you carry, then this is your moment to press deeper. God is not calling you to a portion of what He placed in you. He is calling you to all of it, and in places you expected and in places you did not. We are called to occupy the marketplace, not just the corners of it that feel comfortable and familiar, all of it. Wherever God sends us, with whatever He placed in us. Okay? So Ephesians 3 verse 20 says He is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. Not around us, not despite us, in us. So the power is already there. The assignment is already in you. So the question is not whether God has equipped you. The question is whether you will step into the rooms He is opening, even when they look nothing like what you planned for. So I did not apply for this. God brought it to me suddenly and unexpectedly. And when He did, I had a choice. I had a choice to respond from what I was being offered, or to respond from what I carry. And I chose what I carry, and everything shifted. And that is your invitation today. Do not wait for the perfect environment. Do not wait for the familiar audience. Do not wait until every condition makes sense. When God opens a door, step through it from the full weight of your assignment, because we are occupying the marketplace, all of it. And we were born, each one of us, for such a time as this. So if this spoke to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today too. And I want to ask you, subscribe so you don't miss what is coming next. And leave me a comment below, because I want to know where God is positioning you unexpectedly right now. Stay bold, stay obedient, and bring what you carry.